Hi everyone, welcome back to the studio for this week's episode of Tutorial Tuesday. I'm excited you're here with me in the studio. My name is Kaylee. I paint wet on wet landscape oil paintings, and today you're here for episode 76 of Tutorial Tuesday. I thought we would do kind of a very low lit sunset scene with the Tetons in the background, and we'll kind of see where we go from there. So if you'd like to paint along with me, be sure to check the description below for the paint list, and let's jump right into what we've got going on up here. I have my standard 18 by 24 inch canvas, and it's been prepped with a very thin, even coat of liquid white. It's ready to go. I'm going to start off with, I'm not too sure yet. Let's try a little bit of gray. I'm going to mix up equal parts of alizarin crimson and phthalo green. We're going to make a nice gray color here. We want it pretty even on the tone, so it's not wavering on one side or the other of crimson or phthalo green. We want it to be just a very basic gray. So we'll just keep mixing those until we get there. It's still a little bit to the green side. All right. Now I'm going to take some of this paint on my 1-inch brush, and I'm also going to grab some Midnight Black. Getting the two right on the brush. We're starting real dark today. We're going to work from the top corners down to allow a little bit of light somewhere around the horizon line. It'll kind of fade a little bit. Nice and dark though. Lots of pigment first. Lots of pigment into the brush. Really, really heavy. Real dark scene today. We have to put all this dark before we put any of the light, and it's going to be so fun to make this mountain pop against this color here. As we work down and blend this, we're going to be picking up liquid white. So we always want to start where it's a little bit starting to get light when we re-add the pigment. So if we were to come right down here, now we've got a little bit of variety. So we want to start where it gets a little bit lighter and work it down. Make it a nice gradient. A little bit more over here. And now we will work on the bottom. Same colors, just get those loaded onto the brush. And we'll work from the outside, pulling in. Nice and flat. Same thing on the other side. We're going to pick up just a touch of blue onto the brush. We'll use just this same gray, kind of load into that and grab just the touch of blue. And I want to incorporate some of this blue down below. That's nice. Maybe a little bit more over here on this other side. I do like to make sure I get some of the edges on this canvas, just a tiny bit of it, and then I trim my edges black. But I like to go just over the round. It really helps on the overall look, and I've got some slightly more rounded canvases, so I just like to make it look nice before I forget about it. Some of those small touches that make a big difference. We'll pick up the blending brush now and just start in the center, and we're going to move this paint around. We're picking up liquid white now, and I'm using a really tight X, crossing that over. Bring that down. Whew, gotta take a little break. That's some hard work. Now, right in this middle area here, we're gonna work a little bit harder. So we're pressing nice and hard, and we're moving this paint, slightly easing it down here. So we're moving up and down in this small little area, picking up paint, and just transferring it a little bit, so we can bring this dark area down slowly by working with the liquid medium on the base. That's our liquid white. And we just move up. Now we'll lightly soften all of this out so we get this lovely gradient happening here. Wipe out the brush. We pick up a lot of paint when we go up into this dark area, and you can see it right here. So we wipe it out. Then we can go back and soften it. Look at how easy you can lay all this color up into the sky and get a nice gradient with not a lot of work. I can feel it's really thick up here, and you can pick up that paint and move it around, but we've got to be careful as we move down. Let's wipe it off one more time. Very lightly. Very light. Barely touching. We just want to get rid of all those brush strokes. We go with the grain of the canvas. All right, I think I've got this top the way I like it, so we're just going to soften out this whole bottom here. I didn't want to soften the bottom too soon because we put blue down here and I don't really have that much blue up top. So we don't want to get those to blend too early. We're going to be adding some really nice golds onto our mountain here. And it just helps us to not turn it green. Soften all this out. Always starting in the lighter area, working into the dark. Now we have a fully conditioned canvas and it's ready. This is my favorite part. We're gonna build a mountain. I love painting mountains. I feel like I could pretty much paint a mountain every day, but I know you guys would all get kind of bored of that, so that's why I paint other things, but I could really truly paint a mountain every day. They just make me so happy and they're so big and magical. We're going to use all of our colors here: phthalo green, alizarin crimson, Prussian blue, and midnight black. Make a nice dark mountain color. Already used up some of my colors. There we go. Let's not over mix that one. When we were making our gray, we really wanted to mix it up. This one, we just want to marble it. And I'm going to add a little bit of white to it. And we can see all of those fun colors. We like that. That works for us. Let's pick out some of our ridges out here. We'll start sort of in the off slightly to the center. Now the most important thing about painting any mountain is this top line. That's what we're really paying attention to. Then we can just kind of shape out the bottom by scraping and pressing that paint into the canvas. And what we're aiming for is a little bit of shape here. So we kind of actually want the front of the mountain to come down just a tiny bit more. This is what gives us some of that depth and appearance of depth here. So we bring this mountain forward. Maybe we can have this one come a little forward too. And back here, distance, further and further away. let's use our blending brush and we'll soften that back. We still have that liquid white here, which is what we were hoping for. Now we won't get too dark. We'll be able to soften into some of this mist and give us that depth, that real nice autumn sunset feeling, the golds and blues and a little bit of moisture in the air, making some mist. You gotta think about all that before you paint it. Now, soften that back. Just get rid of those brush strokes. I like to blend right at the base at kind of an angle or a curve, and then you can work up from that, those lines that you created. And when you're making your horizontal blending stroke here, we can imagine that as being the horizon or the base of where this mountain is headed. So we can plan all of that out. Straight up here and back this way. Almost like it just disappears, huh? Love that. Okay. Now let's build. We're going to have our light coming from the right hand side. It's going to be a big golden mountain. So we'll build a little bit of that. We'll start with some titanium white, bright red, and let's do some yellow ochre and Indian yellow. I'm going to mix up just a touch more of that. All right, now I have two values here on my palette. One doesn't have any white mixed into it, so we're going to try very, very carefully. We'll add just a small amount of white into that and kind of wash it out just a touch. We need a little bit more Indian yellow there. There we go. And we'll grab just a touch and harmonize those two. Now, with our highlight, this is our first color. It's a pretty orange color. It should be kind of interesting. Let's see how this goes. Be sure to wipe off your knife, or you're going to be mixing some greens pretty soon. I thought it would be so fun just to play with some bright colors today and really give us a fun, bold, golden sunset. You know, that golden hour when the sun is just about to go behind the horizon and it's leaving this last pop on the mountains. And it really is almost sometimes like a pop, where it'll last for just a couple minutes. Sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll last a lot longer, but I think it usually is those epic ones. They last for just a couple minutes and you'll either catch it or you won't. But today, we were there. We caught it. right, let's mix up some of that. We'll just take that color, that combo, mix that. We're going to grab just a touch of crimson to it, touch of titanium white, and we're going to work a little bit of this just down lower. We've got a little crimson. It's just a touch darker, a little more feeling. Not much though, just a touch. Like we're losing the light down here. Now let's build a few shadows over here. We'll pick up our titanium white and some of our mountain color. A touch more marble in there. We'll start low and then we'll move up with our colors. Start nice and far away with a darker color. Every highlight needs its shadow. So we just go right behind those and pull out our shadows. A few more over here. All right, now let's do a little bit more on the shadow side. Just a touch more of the titanium white into our shadow color. And we can just use that and pull out some sparkles. Let's see, there's a couple more spots in here that we can work on with some shadows to just give us a little bit more depth. And then we're going to take our really nice highlight color here, it's a little bit brighter. We'll add a little bit more to white to it. Marble. We pull it out kind of thin on the palette. here and there, right where the sun is just going to be popping. We will add a few highlights. Fun. We're just going to soften out the bottom of this very carefully. Give it a lift. Those are some fun colors. All right, let's work in just a touch of mist at the base of this mountain. So with the titanium white, we'll go with a 1-inch brush. And we'll just tap in a little bit of mist here. And we just soften that into that next layer of a little bit of our liquid white that's still down here. Soften that back. You can just wipe out that same brush. Right at the base, we just will soften, lift just barely. Nice. Now we're going to build in just a little tree line. We'll use our mountain color and the 1-inch brush. Nothing fancy. We'll just come right out here, tap and fold down. Just a nice, uneven, distant tree line. Load your brush, tap, and pull straight down. Really simple. Really, really simple. Distant trees. They're not pine trees. They're just some trees. Maybe there's a few pine trees mixed in, but combination. We'll lift those straight up. Let's do one more. Let's pick up a touch more of our dark. A little bit darker here. Reload when you start running out. We want this one to be just slightly darker than the one we just painted. Soften that out at the base. lift up. Let's do, maybe we'll have a little bit of, just a touch of misty land out here, just kind of sparkling in the light of our fading sun. Just right on our dirty brush, we can pick up a little bit of titanium white and just pull some shiny land right out. Nice and soft. Love that. Now let's build us a big old barn out here. I'm gonna mix up a bunch of color here. Same color that we've been using, just to harmonize everything. Phthalo green, alizarin crimson, Prussian blue, midnight black. Just to keep it simple, we're gonna use the same combinations of a lot of these colors. Mix it up really good this time. And then we'll pull it out into a nice flat bit so we can scrape off our little rolls of paint. And let's see if we can figure out where our barn is going to be. Let's try slightly not where that one is, but not center. Oh, the choices. Here we go. Nice big old barn. Love it. We'll see. We'll bring this one. We've got it coming down. Nice and dark is what we want here, so that we can layer on top with our kind of wood texture. Now we'll do our roof come in. Got a little bit of like a double top, kind of bigger top down this way and then down this way. And we'll have another porch or maybe a more storage area. Who knows? I don't live on a farm. We're just working on getting all the dark in. Nice. All right. Now, we have all of our dark in. Let's see if we can't build some colors here. I'm going to do some yellow ochre, touch of Indian yellow, some bright red, and dark sienna. That's a pretty nice color there. Let's start with what is, we need actually this to be just a touch darker here. Get that filled in a little bit more. There we go. Okay, highlight. I will do a little highlight right over here. Just starting with the base, like just a little, and we can build on that. I think I'm going to mix up a little bit more red in this color, bright red and dark sienna. Let's try that. We're going to use that on our roof. And a little bit on this here. Just getting our browns in. Now a touch more. We're gonna build a few logs over here. Just tap. Mix up a little bit more of that same color, just our bright red, dark sienna, and yellow ochre. Let's grab a touch of white. Alright, I want to do a little bit of that with just a lighter color, just barely mixing in some of our higher highlight color. And we're going to go right in here and pull some of that down. And we'll find the sun in a few spots on here. Now we can do some of that also on this side over here. Let's mix up a little bit of our blues, some shadows. Add some dark sienna into that mountain mixture and some titanium white, and that'll do us just great over here. Just tap and drag some of that color in. And we'll add a few of this, a little bit of this color just here and there on this roof where we have a few shadows. Now a touch of highlight. This nice bright color, the very, very brightest color, right on the edge above our dark. And down these edges just lightly. Now we'll pick out a few doors. Just pick some of your dark up on the edge of your palette knife. And press that in. Maybe some windows too. With our palette knife and some of this peach highlight color, we can take a little roll of that, just the smallest bit on the palette knife. And we'll just edge these doors. With the windows, maybe there's just a touch of light inside. Maybe somebody's over there stalking hay. And we can just put a little tiny bit titanium white. like there's a little light on. And we'll take the a little bit of paint on the edge of the knife, and we can just put some little windows in there. We'll take a little bit of liquid white and some of our shadow color, just a tiny bit of liquid white to kind of thin it down. And we'll just make some nice straight window edges. On our door, maybe some bright red. Let's do just a touch more highlight coming down here. Just barely. Look like wood, pulling it straight down. All right, I think we'll do a teensy bit here, maybe. And we'll clean up the bottom. Let's take our 1-inch brush into our dark. And we'll just give it something to stand on here. And some nice shrubs, some grass. Set it right down into that. We'll just fill this whole bottom, getting darker as we move down. All right, let's play with some fun greens in here. I think that would look nice. I think maybe I'll just use the same old dirty brush that I was already using, the 1-inch brush. We'll see if we can't make some nice velvety looking grass on top of this. I think that would look really pretty in this scene, just like the sun is barely hitting on some of the grass and making it look nice and pretty. So we'll go right into the liquid white with the 1-inch brush. Let's just see what these colors get us. We'll harmonize with whatever we've got. Add some Indian yellow. Maybe it'll be kind of still working with some of our autumns. And then we'll tap right on top of this blue that we have here. The more you tap it, the softer it'll get. So we'll try out a little line there. Reload. You can flip it over. You might still have a little bit of paint on there that we can use. Just gonna work down in a nice little soft meadow. And out here we're gonna be moving with these blues, so it's automatically, our first layer is almost automatically our little shadows over here, and we don't really have to do anything else to it. We can just leave it just like that. Oh man, I do love a nice misty soft meadow like this. I'm going to use my blending brush and just soften some of this out, just a tiny bit. And then we can use the fan brush. I'm going to pick up my fan brush now and go right into this Indian yellow and liquid white, nice and bright. Let's see what this looks like up here. Oh, that's fun. Just right out there, hitting on the sunshine. Maybe a little more Indian yellow, touch of bright red, just a touch. A little bit more. It's getting a little darker now, but let's just have some fun. Oh, I love these colors. You can really golden hour. A little bit more with the 1-inch brush. You can just load up the 1-inch brush in a bunch of different ways, but you can push into the paint and it's going to load up a good blob right on the top. And that gives us the opportunity to lay in a few different shapes. But we just want to give a little bit of an idea with some of these undertones here. So we can kind of get crazy and just layer in some different lines and angles here. We don't have to get super, super serious about it. Maybe we've got a little bit of pop happening over here. Let's grab a little bit more yellow ochre. lot of fun layers in there. Just barely can see them. And we'll make them pop with our fan brush going into the Indian yellow. Just a nice fun color. And in a few areas, we can pop on some more light. Let's get some bright red now. Now we'll soften that back a little bit. Fan brush, liquid white, Indian yellow, and bright red. Nice and strong. Let's just pick out our sun is beaming through. And we're going to have a little bit more play on lights here. Just wipe that off and get a little bit more Indian yellow. Or 2-inch brush, and just on the bottom of some of these, just give them a little bit of shape. Yeah. Oh, I like it. Now I'm going to take my fan brush and go into some red, just bright red. And maybe just right over here we'll pop in some bright red. Just a little hint. A little bit of blue on the brush. We can just kind of give a few shadows, some red over here. Good colors. All right. I think I'm going to give this one a signature. I love it. Just nice and simple little scene here. Not too challenging of a barn there. And just finished it off with some cute little grass. Love that. Let's do a signature with our bright red. We've already got a good pile here. It's thinned out with a little bit of liquid white. That's going to be perfect. And we'll go right up into this little corner here. Make sure I have that loaded. There we go. Reload your brush. Alright, I am all done with my painting for today. I had a lot of fun painting this scene with some really bold colors. I like to work with a variety of colors just to keep me entertained. So thanks for joining me for this really super fun episode. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought about this painting. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for being a part of Tutorial Tuesday. Smile and be happy, friends!